Damn, son, where'd you find this?
People don't be offended by the truth. They be offended because you called out the truth. Simple as that. They don't want to hear any other narrative that makes them look bad.
One thing I can't stand at this big grown age is somebody who act like cause and effect does not exist. Like, yes, your actions caused this outcome. Yes, what you did lit the match. Like, why are you surprised and playing victim?
Guys, Chico, they never lie.
That's how you know somebody doesn't respect you. They listen to reply, not to be understood. They cut you off. They minimize what actually matters to you. They laugh at your boundaries, and then they call you sensitive when you try to hold the line. They show up late, they cancel last minute, forget the things you've told them, because in their world, your time, your energy, even your voice aren't a priority. They're just an option. You see, there are two kinds of people. Those who adjust when they realize they've actually hurt you, and those who expect you to adjust so they don't have to change. You don't need to be disrespected loudly to be disrespected deeply. Sometimes you'll see it. It's just in their tone, in their patterns, in the silence after you're known. Respect isn't what they say when they're watching. It's how they act when they think you'll tolerate it.
What up, what up, what up, what up? Good evening, good evening. Peace and blessings, glory, praise, and honor to the Most High. Happy Tuesday. Big shout outs to the people in the building. Shout outs to my poets, my creators, my poets. I said it twice, yes. So I want to emphasize that that's my first love right there. Creators, directors, producers, painters, all y'all. Much love to you. Salute to the people who's been coming through over the last couple of weeks just to support and hang out with us over here on this side of the internet, from the UK all the way to Kansas. Appreciate y'all for tapping in with us, man. I got Zay in the building. I got Sydney in the building. You see the clip. Well, you see the title. I got the clip. Then I'm gonna pull up here in a second. It went viral. The guy driving gets assaulted and inappropriately touched by his passenger. It was so bad that clearly that it got the attention of a lot of people. So I wanted to bring that up to this side of the internet, have a Discord. I'm gonna bring everybody up here in a second. I'm gonna bring this up on the big screen. Do me a solid, like, share, repost, let the people know that we are on. Cryptic Creed Paranormal will return. I don't have a set date yet, but be on the lookout for it. All right. Let's go ahead and get the show started. Let's bring Zay up. And I'm gonna bring Sydney up once she gets situated. What's going on, bro? How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. How you doing today?
So far, no complaints, man. It's good to have you back. You know what I'm saying? The last show we did was phenomenal. I'm glad you could chime in and share your thoughts. How you feeling about the show yesterday?
Oh, I feel like we covered a lot of ground yesterday. I feel like we had so many different
Hey everyone.
perspectives. Hey, Sydney.
Definitely. I was just asking
I can't hear
Zay.
anybody. I don't know if it's just me.
Yeah, that
Oops.
might be. Yeah, that might be you.
Oh, it is just me. I don't know why my new phone has like two separate volume settings. There's one for something, I don't know what it's for, but then there's another one for the internet, and I didn't have the internet one on.
Hey, you picked up on it pretty quick though. It's all
I
good.
realized it recently. I think the other one might be for phone calls or something. But I'm like, why do you have it separate? Why can't you just have it the same?
Yeah. I got a clip I want to play. Not really sure if you're familiar with it, but a lot of people they had a lot of words for this. I'm gonna bring it up on the big screen. We'll go around initial thoughts. You don't really hear about this type of stuff happening too much, but I think awareness needs to be brought to the public, especially if you take Ubers or you take Lyfts or any type of services like that where you're using your app to have somebody pick you up and go to and fro. So let me bring that up here real quick. Hopefully you two don't try to come for me before this one. So the guy right here in the back, he's not from Dubai, just so people know. He's actually a tourist. I don't really know too much about him other than that from what I saw in the comment section, but I'm gonna let it rock out. I muted the audio just in case. I'm gonna let the video keep playing, but you see what's happening here. He's gonna eventually get out of the car, and then the dude in the back is gonna jump in the front seat, and then the video is gonna stop. Yeah, that's wild. That is absolutely crazy, man. And from what I read, I'm not sure how true it is. The dude did get arrested allegedly, but I don't have any confirmation to deny or say otherwise. Initial thoughts, Zay, from what you see in this clip, man, what did you notice first?
I noticed how smooth he was trying to play it off, like he was just getting comfortable, and then, he decided to wrap his arms around him and, caress him. I don't know. I'm low key appalled. Like, uh, no one should ever have to do that, especially while driving. Like, that's bold, real bold. Like anything, it could have gone left real quick. It already went left, and like, I don't know. It's mind boggling that there are people like that, you know, out there, and I'm just appalled. I'm speechless. I don't know what to say.
See,
That was really creepy. It was definitely not what I was anticipating when I first read the headline. I fully anticipated it was going to be like a beating or like a stabbing or something like that. That was really off-putting. Like it, it was just the fact that it seemed to be a attempted assault of the other kind was just really bizarre already to see, because that's not something that you hear about very often or see on the news very often. Usually it's just like physical attacks. Like I fully expected this was going to be like a racially motivated, like you're XYZ and I don't like you, so I'm going to beat you up, like get out of this country. Like that's what I expected. Not that. That was really really creepy to watch. I'm glad that they arrested that guy. I feel so bad for the taxi driver. He was like, you, even at the beginning, you could see his discomfort. As soon as like that guy started like coming closer, you could see the whites of his eyes. I could see the panic in his face, knowing this guy was getting way too close for comfort. So that was weird. It almost makes me wonder if that guy was on drugs or something, because that's just so unusual to see between two men, to be honest. Like I could not understand, but it would make sense if it was like a man doing that to a woman, because that's what we hear about so often. But it was just really bizarre seeing it between two men. Um, so yeah, not that it makes it any way right at all.
and that's what I was going to get to as well. We hear about domestic abuse. It's usually man beating or assaulting women. You don't really hear about men being sexually assaulted. And usually, like, if it's a situation where a woman is inappropriately touching on a guy, he's not really going to say nothing, because one, most people are going to be like, are you gay? Like, is something wrong with you? Because why wouldn't you feel some type of adulation for that? Doesn't make it right. But the way that people's brains is wired is like, oh, something's wrong with you if you don't want somebody inappropriately touching you without your consent. But this ain't the case. This is some random dude sitting behind you in a vehicle. You don't know them other than maybe what the stars on the ratings thing says when you pick the person up. You don't know what you about to get. Another thing that I was thinking about, he seemed too comfortable, right? It's almost as if he's done it before. Because how could you just so casually just scoot over right behind the driver and then just start what? You've had to have done this before. And I could be wrong, but it feels like you did it before. Nobody ever complained or said anything about it. And or they didn't have proof that this was happening. Fortunately for him, he had a camera in his vehicle. to answer your question, bro, stories like this, I don't see them. I don't even hear about them until I'm scrolling a random app like Twitter or something. You're not going to see this on YouTube unless you are purposely typing in this is. Otherwise, I don't know, but that's why I wanted to address it. Let me ask y'all a question. Is getting in a Uber or a Lyft or any form of transportation dangerous at this point? Should we be in fear of taking on these jobs? Like for the last year, I can count maybe 3 stories where either a driver was either the suspect or the victim in some type of domestic crimes and involving these type of situations, and those other cases were involving women. 2 of them which were killed. One was actually raped. Do you think it's safe these days to get in a Uber or a Lyft? Should we, or is it just there's some things that need to be changed up to make people a little more safe?
I feel like me personally, I feel like they shouldn't, take out Ubers and Lyfts altogether. I feel like there should be more precautions, like how cab drivers have dividers in the passenger seat between the driver's seat and the passenger seat. So um, there should be more, you know, restrictions so the passenger and the driver don't have much interaction other than talking. If that makes sense.
No, I agree.
I also agree there. I think in this perspective of drivers, the people that are providing the services, just like buses and taxis are doing, I think everyone should have a not a GoPro, but just like something filming whatever's happening in that car. That way they have a record, and not only that'll keep them safe, not only in instances like this if they're getting attacked, but also for like car accidents, people trying to say that the driver did something to them and or trying to get out of paying. So that can help in a lot of different circumstances of hostile drivers. And I think also, as you said, having like barriers so they can't obviously have contact with you, which would also be beneficial in reducing like passing viruses and stuff like that. But for people taking these services, personally, I've never quite felt safe taking public transportation, but that's probably just because of my gender. Um, I'm not saying that it's not safe because there's obviously like buses, taxis, Ubers every day that nothing happens. But it's just the rise in violence, the rise in aggressive behavior from people. That risk is out there. And so I think if you are going to take public transportation, you have to be prepared. You should have things to protect yourself as well. And validate and vet like the services that you're going to be using. Obviously, like taxi services, those are businesses, and most of them are going to have vetting processes. You can look up their reviews. They're owned by certain companies, and so you can check to see like what their reliability is, whether or not people have had issues with them before. Buses are a little bit more difficult because usually those are like city owned. But there is the like maybe avoiding certain areas that the buses would go, because then you can avoid certain types of people that might use them. But I feel like it's easier for drivers to protect themselves than riders, because riders, you never really know what could happen. It could be the passenger next to you, it could be the driver, it could be somebody else driving and they cause an accident or something like that. So I think you just kind of have to take whatever precautions you can meaningfully do. It does make it difficult for people that rely on this form of transportation, because oftentimes they don't even have the option. So in those cases, just do what you can to protect yourself. And I mean, sometimes people even film or record when they're in those public spaces just to protect themselves. So that could also be an option that people use.
I don't see drivers anymore with those barricades, and I used to take the taxi a lot. Um, I understood why they used them too, because you got some crazies out here, some real crazies out here. I don't know what made them remove them, but I would highly suggest that they probably look back into it. I don't know if they would ever do that in their own personal cars as an Uber driver or a Lyft driver. But one thing that you should always be doing is checking the ratings of these people, because it'll tell you if they got 4 stars, 3 stars, do they have a bad attitude, all that. You should be always being mindful of that. But unfortunately, there's some people who probably have a clean record and they still get past that whole background check thing. So I don't think it's all bad. I don't assume that every driver is a villain in a horror movie or nothing like that. But mind you, this is in a whole nother country. So that just goes to say it doesn't really matter where it is. It can happen in your backyard. But I wouldn't laugh at this. I wouldn't think it's a joke at all. That guy could have crashed. He could have had a stroke. I mean, like, you don't know that man's health conditions or any of that. Imagine someone just jump up behind you and then just grab you out of nowhere. You're in traffic and he could pull a gun out, he could pull a knife out. You really don't know how you're going to react or respond in those situations. So the people that's laughing in the comment section, I don't understand how y'all could just be so callous. You know what I'm saying? Um, I got another question. Do you think that public transportation is safer than the Ubers and the Lyfts and the taxis? No matter who answer.
I mean, I feel like in a way, yeah, it'll be a slight more safer, but I've seen situations where people get stabbed in the back, where the driver is all the way in the front, and you got no one to witness what's going on, and they're all the way in the back of the bus, and they still getting slashed up. So like I really think it really depends on perspective, like being aware of your surroundings. Once you're aware, you can see potential danger from any you know from all corners, if that makes sense.
I want to touch on two things actually. First, I want one of the things that you mentioned about how it could have caused harm to him. Also, one of the things about how that guy was using like the chokehold, if you know how to do that properly, somebody that's significantly smaller can still take down somebody that's much larger if they know what they're doing because of what you're doing. Like you're literally blocking off blood flow and oxygen to the brain. And so it doesn't, like, if you have it properly put in place, you can take somebody down really easily with that. So the fact that he was trying to use that tactic, I think the seat saved that driver because he wasn't able to properly like put the pressure where he needed to, and it was easier for him to break out of that. But that can be a really dangerous move on somebody. So yeah, he definitely dodged a bullet in that sense. And then for the question, I would kind of categorize taxis more with like buses and stuff like that because it's an actual like company that it requires a lot more, like especially like even bus drivers and stuff like that. There's a lengthier process to become a driver. And I think taxis are more ingrained into the city systems than Ubers and Lyfts. Like, because Ubers and Lyfts are typically not the full, like, you don't have to do all of the extra stuff that people that are getting hired for bus drivers, taxi companies, train drivers, all that stuff, have to go through. So I think it's with regards to mass transit type sources, those would probably be safer options, even though, like, at least with buses, you're kind of exposed to more of the public. But at least with the drivers, I think they're going to be a safer bet. Ubers, I've never, I've maybe taken an Uber once in my life, and I wasn't even alone. I've never felt comfortable with it because you never know who you're going to get. Because I'm fairly certain to become an Uber, all you have to do is like submit your driver's license and your registration, like proof that you own your car, and like maybe they look into your driver's record and then like your financial information. And I don't really think they do anything other than that. Like you don't even I don't think you have to take a driver's test or anything. Like I'm pretty sure taxi and bus drivers have to take a specific test for driving transportational vehicles like that for the public. So there's far less supervision for Uber and Lyft. And I'm fairly certain too, with Uber and Lyft, you're considered a contractor rather than as a employee. And there are different laws for employees than there is for contractors. There's less coverage and less security. So even in the sense of being a driver, you're not going to have as many assurances as you would as a taxi and bus driver. So I think on both ends, both drivers and passengers would probably be safer taking taxis, being in buses, taking metro trains and stuff like that than they would be to take Ubers and Lyfts, especially because it's sadly fairly easy to hide a criminal history. And that's not something that nobody's going to ever do like a criminal history on every person they're going to take an Uber from, especially because most of the time people pay like, oh, I need a driver. I'm going to go to the app and pick one. And then they're there within like 10 to 15 minutes. So people don't even get the opportunity to check out the person that they're choosing. And it's not like DoorDash where they no contact, like they leave the stuff at your door and walk away. Like you don't even have to see them or know them or anything. Like you're literally getting in their car. So, and even if they're not like a dangerous person, maybe they're just a terrible driver and that could be just as deadly. So in my perspective, I've never felt Uber or Lyft was very safe. I would always go for public transportation if that's what I needed.
I've never had issues with Uber. I mean, the most problem that I ever had with them was they either drive too slow and they try to take the longest way possible to your destination, or they have a horrible attitude. Maybe they had a bad day or something, but never nothing to this extreme, right? But I don't go into them situations thinking, oh, everything's just peachy keen. Nah. I still have my head on the swivel. I'm listening, especially, and I don't want to sound racist or nothing like that, but especially when I get a foreigner, them folks that speak different languages, because they'll be in that car on their phone with their people, and they'll be no, speak English, use English to me, because I ain't got the translator on my phone. And for me, I turn my location on and I share my location with family and stuff like that. Just my high mind is like, just in case they want to drive into a whole different yeah, I'm covered. To go back to something that Squish had said earlier, men do get shamed. Men do get shamed for the assault thing. Let you say a woman groped you or touched you, you're definitely going to get laughed at. I don't know why we do that. But if I tell you no, or I back up off you, I don't care if you're attractive or not. If I did not consent to you doing anything, you have no right whatsoever. And the problem with that is too, if you decided that you wanted to press charges or anything, it would probably be extremely harder for you to convince people that this dainty thing here violated you in any type of way. I don't like that. That's real messed up. But with the Ubers and the Lyfts and things like, I guess it's a case by case. Everybody's experiences are different and they vary. I'm very, like, I know a lot of them by first names and all that. I've had conversations and all types of stuff with a few of them. So that's why I say, like, I don't think they all bad. You have a few, you just gotta be on your P's and Q's with that.
I just want to say that like the driver also didn't seem like he was aware. Like he seemed like he was part of the routine. You know, like he gets a lot of customers, so he's already accustomed to picking up someone, dropping them off, and he probably got someone that looks just like him, right? And he probably dropped off someone just that looks just like him. So he didn't think, you know, anything of it. And he probably just wasn't aware of the signs because people always show signs before they even do things, in my opinion.
I thought about doing Uber before. One of my biggest concerns was, man, I don't know you. That's it. I don't know you. You might be drunk and just all over my. This is my vehicle. I'm not renting this out. You might just crash out in the back seat. I'm the one stuck cleaning up. Nah, no. Then on top of that, you don't know if this is going to be one of these people who claim that you did something to them and then they lie and get you fired. You get some false allegations put on you. Now you fighting for your freedom because, oh, Becky said you were flirting with her, or this such and such said you came on to them and knew. I just I, if you ain't family or friends, I have a thing about you sitting behind me. Period, because I'm always going to be in the mirror looking back. I don't like that. So that's why I've never personally did it. The folks who have been doing this for 20, 30 years, and I'm exaggerating about 30 years, but a lot of them folks been doing it for a large chunk of time. And the stories that they would share, I'm like, yeah, you better than me. Because if I was going to do it, I'm staying around all the white people. Period. I'm not even joking. I'm staying around all of them. They're a pain in the butt too. I hear they complain a lot too, but
Yo, they be doing it for 12 hours a day too.
yeah, they don't even the money. I'm gonna yield the mic to you. They don't even make the type of money that people think. Times have changed a lot. They tell you. I've had conversations with Ubers and taxi drivers. The taxi drivers say, "Look, you better off over here." My friends drive Ubers, and my friends who drive these Ubers, they telling you, "Look, man, I, I gotta be out here most of the day, 12 hours." And then I'm not doing about to sit here do no 12 hours a day for incentives. No, sorry, can't do it. So not only are they taking half of your check, like, but then you still putting yourself at risk every time you on the road. Nah, I'm cool on that. Some people got a system that work for them. I like being on the road. I like driving, but not for no chump change. And I wouldn't even drive my own vehicle. I would be renting, so that's going to come out your pocket even more. You gotta work 12 hours. You gotta pay that rental fee, and then you still gotta do that. Nah, that's too much. Way too much. I couldn't do the bus thing neither though, because it was something you had said about the bus, and my thing is, all right, a fight break out on the bus, you ain't got no security, you ain't got no help, and them people on the bus, what they gonna do? The first thing they gonna do is they're gonna start recording. That's all they do, and then they're gonna remix the video, and they're gonna put a catchy title to it, and then you're gonna see it somewhere scrolling. So, nah, the bus driver, he on his own up there, or she on her own in that bus. A riot break out? Nope. At least with the Uber thing, you are in a more controlled environment. You can kind of protect yourself a little bit better, at least to me, because people don't help you no more on buses. It's rare that I see it, at least.
They don't even give up seats to the elderly no more.
Oh no, nah. I hate. Look, I see stories about how New York get down with the trains and all that. I seen one where the lady got pissed off because the dude squeezed in on the train, but there's seats for 3 people. She got mad because he sat there. What? This is public transportation. Why do you feel so sensitive about somebody sitting next to you? That's not that, but that's beside the point. The guy here, he did sound or seem like that's his routine. I know a lot of drivers actually have clients that they just already locked in with, so their schedule is like, all right, they got me for 8 o'clock. This one got me for 5 o'clock in the morning. He's always going this way, and she's going this way. I think he might be one of them. Debate based on the way that he was presenting himself, how he was dressed. Yeah, he's definitely been doing that for a while. This had to be a random. What do you say to somebody who is using Ubers and Lyfts today? Because we still are a little too comfortable these days.
I wanted to add in that in terms of the cost, if you're driving taxis, buses, stuff like that, that's the city's responsibility. Like, they pay for the maintenance, they pay for the gas, they pay for all that stuff. Where with Uber and Lyft, you're paying for that all yourself. Like, you're paying for the gas, you're paying for any repairs to your car. And especially if you're doing like 12 hours a day, or if you get in a car accident, you're on the hook for that. And so they don't pay enough to cover all of the wear and tear on your car, the oil changes, the car cleanings, the gas price. I mean, we all know how expensive gas is today. And I promise you, Uber and Lyft do not pay enough to cover for that gas that you're going to be using. So sometimes people are losing money just to be doing this because they're trying to make ends meet, but then the stuff that they have to do for their car ends up costing more than what they end up making. I've heard a lot of people online talking about what it's like to be a gig worker, and that's something I've heard a lot, where they say, like, it wasn't worth it because it didn't cover my car accident that I got at work. And then I was out, I couldn't work because then my car was out of commission. And then it didn't cover the gas. It didn't cover the other maintenance type of things that the car needed. I think it is more secure to be a driver for an actual company or the city, because then at least you're not responsible for the vehicle itself. Like, if it crashes, you can still drive the next day as long as you're not injured, because they'll have more buses to pick from. They'll have more taxis. They'll have more other stuff that they can replace whatever isn't working with. And so you won't be out of a job just because there is an issue with whatever you were driving. But just like, as you said too, even if it's not like something seriously wrong with the car, like even if you don't crash your car, it's still like you pick up a drunk person, they throw up in your car, and now your car smells, and now you have to clean it and get the rugs cleaned and the leather conditioned and all this other stuff that you can't control for. And that stuff is also expensive. So I think there's also that downside of it could end up becoming a money pit where you're trying to make money to make ends meet, but then you end up spending more money to try and make money. It's kind of that vicious cycle.
It's not a time to get comfortable, and just, you have to be on alert leaving out your house. You got to be on alert with the cars that pull up to pick you up. You got to be alert about the drivers. You got to be like, you just can't be so lackadaisical. Not anymore. Not anymore. Share your location with someone. Even just if it's to go to the store, like you got one person that you trust, not a big deal. Just for the sake of being cautious. Men do get assaulted. I don't think that gets enough attention.
You'll also want to tell somebody, like, if you're going to be taking an Uber or Lyft, text them, be like, hey, I'm leaving from this location and I'm expecting to be at this next location at this time. That way, if something happens and you don't show up, people know when to expect you by and when to start worrying. Because sometimes, like, I've heard of people literally being kidnapped where the person is like, yeah, I'm not actually taking you to that location, and like drives them somewhere else. So also letting people know where you're going and where you're going to be, especially if you're not going to be meeting somebody there, if you're just getting dropped off somewhere, because God forbid something happens, at least people know where to look to find you, where to start off the search and stuff like that, and like when to expect you.
Any food for thought, bro? Anything you want to say to the peoples? Well, especially with this notion that men are not victims, or they can't find themselves in similar situations like this brother was. What would you say to the people who make jokes out of it, that laugh and say, oh, you this and you that, because how you
I mean, listen, I'm not gonna name names, but I've had a friend of mine that, you know, he got sexually assaulted, and it's not, you know, being a friend, you know, you never really expect it to happen to you until it happens. You know, you always prepare for it because you watch shows like SVU, like Law and Order SVU, or Criminal Minds. You know, you watch, or you know, see it on the news. You know, but that's you preparing for it. But you never really fully prepare for it until it happens to you. So, you know, to someone that's actually going through it, it's not something to laugh about, because it could easily happen to you. And you laughing about it, you don't know, that's low key bad karma. So if you're laughing about the situation, you never know if you, the person laughing, can step into that situation without even realizing it. So like, be mindful of the energy that you put out, because it can always come back to you.
yeah, that's real talk.
And sadly, in today's world, you don't even know why somebody might attack you. Like, it's not always just that type of an assault. Like, because of the way the world is, because of how people are thinking, like, you could be attacked from the country you're from. You could be attacked by the color of your skin. You can be attacked for being with somebody that has a different skin color. Like, there's so many reasons people will come up with to decide that you're somebody worth attacking. And it doesn't matter if you're male or female, every person is possibly at risk of being attacked by somebody. And unfortunately, some people commit SA on other people just to demean you. Like, they're not even that particular orientation. They're doing it just to humiliate you and torture you, essentially. So you really don't know. Like, just because you're a big strong person doesn't mean you're immune to being attacked, because there's all sorts of weapons they could use against you. And anybody that's unassuming and isn't prepared or isn't paying attention, you can still be a victim, because if you're not paying attention, people can overpower you in a lot of different ways. And obviously drugs are also another huge component. Like, people can slip you stuff in your drink, or even like put things on a cloth and put it over your face and stuff. Like, there's so many different ways that people can do things, that you don't want to let your guard down and just assume that nobody can ever hurt you, because those are exactly the people that are going to be the most vulnerable, because they're not going to be looking out for the signs. They're going to be doubting their intuition, and they're going to just automatically assume, like, oh, I don't have to worry about that person because I could blah 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 blah. And it's a dangerous mindset to have, to think that you're infallible to any potential danger, because you really don't know. Guns, knives, like, those don't match well with the human body. And if somebody gets a well-placed attack, they can do a lot of damage to you. So it's definitely something that's not a gendered problem. Granted, women are at a slightly higher risk of violence just because of their size and their typically non-aggressive nature, and also like stigma and everything like that. But that doesn't mean men are not immune to these types of crimes. And if anything, men are more at risk for violent assaults because of the nature of like how a lot of men are raised to behave. So yeah, men should not let their guard down just because they think that their gender will protect them, because it doesn't work that way in the real world.
Nope. If you got the motivation, anything is possible.
I also want to add on, like 9 times out of 10, sexual abuse comes from someone that you know as well. Like it doesn't always come from a stranger. It could be someone from your family, your friend. So I would just be aware of who you associate with, even if it's family as well.
That's
Yeah, I think like 54% of violent deaths occur from somebody that you know. So that is definitely true.
I swear the monsters be your neighbors, your cousins, your uncles. It be folks that be right there. They probably done took a bath with you when you was 6 years old and all that. It be them. This whole video, the whole purpose and intentions behind this video is to, for one, put respect on that clip because it needed to be covered to bring more awareness to these things. Another one that I'm addressing here, something that Arcana had brought up earlier, was the trafficking. That's on the to-do list. I can't remember what day, but it's on the to-do list. Ladies. They getting advanced. They getting bolder. They coming out in the daytime doing this stuff, and they using different measures to distract you and to snatch you up. We're gonna go down that rabbit hole too, so be on the lookout for that one.
You know, one time I saw a video, all right, and they said this is how you kidnap a woman nowadays, right? And you got this woman, and I understand this may be a skit. I get it, but it's like you're giving away a blueprint for real predators to do what you're saying you to do in the video. You know, so like this woman, she found money on the floor, on the ground. She's picking it up. She's picking up the money, and the money leads to the trunk of the car. And next thing you know, she shoved into the car, and the person peeled off. It was a skit. It's meant to be funny, but they don't understand that those type of topics are sensitive, and they do happen in real life. So, and I also want to put out there that content creators got to be more aware of that you're giving away blueprints. You have a voice, right? So what you do with your voice is very important, and they don't understand that because they're not sensitive to these type of topics.
Yeah, I ain't gonna hold you, bro. I don't like a lot of that stuff. I don't. I think it's tasteless. I think if you got to do all of that to get views, likes, and I don't subscribe to that. Not to mention you're a grown adult, and I'm sure you know that there are a lot of victims out here. If they saw this, they would not be happy with it. look, I got dark humor. I laugh at stuff that's dark, but I'm not about to sit up here and mess around with anything like this at all. That's too personal, way too personal. And on top of that, like you said, you're forgetting that there are perverts and people that are stalking behind fake profiles and all types of stuff. They literally are just watching and learning and trying to figure out, oh, how can I get away with this and how can I do this? Y'all call yourself influencer, but who are you really influencing? So I feel you on that 100%. That's why I can't watch a lot of that stuff at all. But yeah,
And the harsh reality is those are the videos that be going viral.
yeah. Think about the movies. It's no different than a lot of the music. These actors and a lot of that stuff is based on. There's people out here that they think they John Wick. There's people out here that think they Al Pacino and Meg Ryan and all. Don't tell me people don't get influenced by this stuff. Because you see it every day. Who was it? Sierra? Sierra tried to dress like Glorilla. No, she tried to dress like somebody. Wendy Raquel Robinson dressed like Glorilla. And then there was another girl that dressed like Sexy Red. Yeah, y'all going way too far, making these people rich and famous and all that. But I'm gonna stay away from that. I just want people to be more smart and safe when they get in and out of these vehicles. If y'all got anything that y'all want to say before we close out, I'll turn the mic over to y'all. But shout outs to everybody in the chat, Arcana SM, and anybody that's watching right now. Thank y'all for hanging out with us. I turn the mic over.
I just wanted to add one thing. Since this was in Dubai, a lot of people might say like, "Oh, it's not in America," and this doesn't happen. And it definitely does happen in America, but this is also something people absolutely need to consider when they're traveling abroad. Because I know a lot of people will travel and they'll be so vacation, they'll completely neglect safety. Like, I don't know what it is, but like when you're in a like destination location like Paris, like London, whatever, like people think like, oh, but this is a bougie vacation, like this is where everyone goes, like I'm fine here, I'm safe here. I'm like, no, those are exactly the places where they take advantage of people like you, because they know that you're not going to be paying attention. They know that you're not going to know the area, you're not going to know the customs, you're not going to understand how things work. And so you're more likely to fall victim to scams. You're more likely to be attacked, and even things that are unintentional. I've been hearing this really rapid increase to the point that they're putting out international warnings of people eating food that in other countries has been sprayed by pesticides. And people are literally going to restaurants and coming home and the whole family is dying because they're getting these high doses of pesticides. And so people really need to consider whenever they're going overseas, they need to have a plan for everything. They need to understand where they're going, who they're getting in cars with, what restaurants they're going to, what hotels they're staying at. There was a group of, I think it was 4, it was 2 boys and 2 girls, teenager-ish, like early 20s. The boys got sick, the women died because the bed sheets had been sprayed with pesticides. But this is all to say, like, even if you're going on vacation, you still have to, you can't put your guard down. Like you're obviously going to be taking that type of transportation when you're in another country, because most people aren't bringing their car when they're flying overseas. So that's something you have to keep in mind, that when you're in another country, you have to be paying attention to where you're getting these services from. You shouldn't just take a ride from anyone. I know I've heard of examples of people that have like fake Uber drivers pulling up, be like, oh yeah, I'm a taxi driver, I'm a this, I can take you to your destination, like I'm cheaper, blah blah blah. But then they get held up, they get their money stolen, they get other things happening to them. So you have to pay attention to it in your own country as much as you have to pay attention to it in other countries when you're visiting other places, because no place is immune. And if anything, highly trafficked, not that type of trafficking, high population density, like people are coming in and out because of airports and it's a fancy place. Those places are far more likely to fall victim to those types of incidences, because there's more people and there's more people that aren't paying attention. And so it's much easier to commit these types of crimes. And so criminals like to hang out there. It's easy to take advantage of people, pickpocketing and theft and all those fun things. So it's important to keep that in mind. Whenever you're traveling, be on the lookout. No matter where you are, Europe, Middle East, Asia, Africa, you're not immune. There's always going to be people like that out there. And so no matter where you go, how fancy the city is, you have to be paying attention to who you're associating with, where you're staying, and you have to have a plan. You have to know exactly what you're going to be doing, how you're going to be paying for it, and how you're going to protect yourself. You should know the laws. You should know the whole, like how the system works, because you don't really, like if you're going to a very foreign country, they're going to have different laws than they have in the US. And sometimes that can put you at higher risk, especially if they don't have protection laws in the same way that they have here in the US. So it's something to consider if you're traveling, or even if it's in your own city. Don't let your guard down just because you think it's familiar or rich or whatever reason you might have, because these people are everywhere. And while not every single person is going to be a criminal, not every single person out in the world is trying to take advantage of you, it still could be anyone. So keep that in mind, traveling or at home. This can happen anywhere.
Well said.
Well said, Sydney. I just want to add on that if you have a bad vibe from the start, trust your intuition. That's key. That's very key. Because most of the time, your spirit will tell you before your mind even tells you, if that makes sense. Your spirit will feel their aura before they even say something. So please trust the intuition if you got the bad vibe from the jump.
And there is science to back that up. Your body can sense the stress of another person. And if they're planning something, they're going to be a bit more stressed. So your body is going to be able to pick up on that. So absolutely follow your instincts.
It's funny you said that because I can't think of his name. Terrence Howard broke this down in a clip I seen on IG about the similarities of sound and how the body responds to. I ain't even about to sit here and try to go there. He used words I ain't never heard. But yeah.
Wednesday episode.
I know, right? I gotta find one where the music ain't in it, but yeah. Matter of fact, we already locked in for this one though. You already had your list lined up, so them joints just ready to go. But I'll jot that one down too.
I can always move stuff around. I'm always willing to be flexible. So I'll see. I'll find a slot for it.
All right. Look, man, we about to get up out of here. Appreciate y'all for hanging out with us. Check out the replay if you choose to. This is just for the people who need to be safer on the road. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all night. Have a blessed Wednesday. Continue. Yeah, you're right. Well, I was thinking in the future though, just in case I don't. Some people might already be in Wednesday right now, to be honest, but hey, it is what it is. Y'all take it easy. We out. Peace.